Imagine this for a moment. You're not being threatened. You're not being forced. No one is holding anything over you. And yet, you say yes. You agree to something you didn't plan to agree to. You buy something you didn't intend to buy. You support an idea you haven't really thought through. And afterward, when you try to explain it, the explanation sounds reasonable, logical even. You tell yourself it made sense. You tell yourself it was your choice. That feeling, that quiet confidence that you acted freely, is exactly what makes persuasion so powerful. This is where Robert Cialdini begins, even if he doesn't say it this way. His book, Influence, The Psychology of Persuasion, is not about manipulation in the cartoon villain sense. It's about something far more unsettling. It's about how normal, intelligent, well-meaning people are influenced every single day without realizing it, and how the human mind cooperates in that process. Cialdini wasn't trying to expose secrets reserved for elites or masterminds. He was trying to answer a question psychologists had been circling for decades. Why do people comply? Why do we say yes when logic suggests we shouldn't? Why do patterns repeat across cultures, across intelligence levels, across professions? Why do smart people fall for the same tricks again and again? And to answer that question, Cialdini didn't stay in the lab. He went into the real world. He studied salespeople, fundraisers, advertisers, recruiters, negotiators, and even cult members. He watched what they did, how they spoke, what worked, and, most importantly, why it worked. Then he went back to the science and matched those techniques to decades of psychological research. What he found was uncomfortable, not because it showed that people were stupid, but because it showed that people are efficient. The human brain, Cialdini explains, is built to conserve effort. We are surrounded by too much information, too many decisions, too many signals to analyze everything deeply. So instead, we rely on shortcuts, mental rules of thumb, automatic responses that usually serve us well. The problem is that those shortcuts can be triggered intentionally, and when they are, we don't experience it as manipulation. We experience it as choice. One of the first things Cialdini makes clear is that persuasion works best when we are not paying attention to it. When we are distracted, rushed, emotionally engaged, or simply trying to get through the day, our brains switch from careful thinking to automatic responding. He gives a simple but revealing example. Researchers once tested what happens when people are asked to cut in line to use a photocopier. When someone said, "Excuse me, I have 5 pages, may I use the copier?" Most people said no. But when the request was phrased as, "Excuse me, I have 5 pages, may I use the copier because I'm in a rush," compliance jumped dramatically. So far, that makes sense. There's a reason. But here's the twist. When the sentence was changed to, "Excuse me, I have 5 pages, may I use the copier because I have 5 pages," an explanation that explains nothing, people still complied at nearly the same rate. The word "because" alone triggered the automatic response. The brain heard a reason and stopped evaluating its quality. That single experiment captures the heart of the book. People aren't carefully weighing decisions as often as they think they are. They are responding to cues and then justifying those responses after the fact. Cialdini doesn't frame this as a flaw. He frames it as an adaptation. In a simpler world, these shortcuts saved time and energy. Trusting authority, reciprocating favors, following the group. These behaviors helped societies function. But in a complex modern environment, those same instincts can be exploited. Take reciprocity, for example. The rule is simple and deeply ingrained. When someone gives you something, you feel obligated to give something back. Every culture on Earth has some version of this rule. It's one of the foundations of cooperation. Cialdini describes experiments where people were given a small, unsolicited gift, a soda, a cookie, a token, by someone they didn't particularly like. Later, that same person asked them to buy raffle tickets. The participants consistently bought more tickets from the person who gave them the gift, even though they reported not liking them. What's striking is not just that it worked, but that it worked even when the favor was unwanted. The obligation wasn't emotional, it was automatic. And once the obligation kicked in, people rationalized it. They didn't think, "I'm buying these because I feel socially pressured." They thought, "Why not? It's for a good cause." The mind protects its self-image. Cialdini shows how this principle is used everywhere. Free samples, complimentary services, just doing you a favor. Even information can function as a gift. Once something has been given, the balance feels uneven, and humans are deeply uncomfortable with imbalance. Then there's commitment and consistency, which might be the most quietly powerful principle in the book. People want to see themselves as consistent. Once we take a position, especially publicly, we feel pressure to act in ways that align with it. This isn't about stubbornness, it's about identity. If I say I'm the kind of person who supports something, then acting against that threatens how I see myself. Cialdini explains how small commitments lead to big ones. A harmless agreement today becomes a psychological anchor tomorrow. Once someone has said yes once, it becomes easier to say yes again, even when the stakes are higher. Salespeople use this constantly. Get the customer to agree with a few small statements. Get them to sign something minor. Get them to imagine ownership. Once that mental step is taken, backing out feels like inconsistency, and inconsistency feels wrong. What's fascinating is that people will often double down on bad decisions rather than admit inconsistency. They will defend choices that clearly didn't work simply because reversing course would require admitting they were wrong. Again, this isn't framed as stupidity, it's framed as self-protection. Social proof is another principle that Cialdini explains in a way that's both simple and unsettling. When people are unsure, they look to others to decide what is correct. This is especially true in ambiguous situations. If everyone else seems to be doing something, we assume it must be the right thing to do. Cialdini describes experiments where people followed crowds into obviously incorrect behavior, not because they believed it was correct, but because they assumed the group knew something they didn't. What makes this more dangerous is that the more uncertain we feel, the more we rely on social proof. In moments of fear, stress, or novelty, independent judgment collapses first. This is why testimonials work, why popularity signals matter, why trends spread faster than truth. The brain doesn't ask, "Is this right?" It asks, "What are others doing?" Authority plays a similar role, and Cialdini is careful to show just how little authority needs to look like authority to be effective. A title, a uniform, a confident tone, a credential on the wall. People comply not because they are convinced, but because the signal of authority bypasses skepticism. The mind has learned that authority usually correlates with knowledge, so it stops checking. Cialdini references classic obedience experiments to show how far this can go, but he also shows how subtle it can be in everyday life. A recommendation from a specialist, a quote from an expert, a confident assertion delivered without hesitation. The appearance of authority often matters more than authority itself. Then there's liking. We are far more likely to say yes to people we like. That seems obvious, but Cialdini shows how easily liking can be engineered. Similarity, compliments, familiarity, physical attractiveness. People don't like to believe they are influenced by these things, but study after study shows they are. And once again, the influence operates beneath awareness. We don't think, "I'm agreeing because I like them." We think, "Their idea makes sense." Scarcity might be the most emotionally charged principle of all. When something appears rare or limited,
its perceived value increases instantly, not because its actual value changed, but because loss feels imminent. Cialdini explains that scarcity triggers fear, not desire. We don't want the thing more. We want to avoid losing the opportunity. This is why deadlines work, why only a few left works, why exclusivity works. And crucially, scarcity works best when combined with the other principles: a limited offer from an authority figure, endorsed by others, framed as a favor, with a small prior commitment already made. That's persuasion at full power. What ties all of this together is one of the most disturbing insights in the book. Awareness does not equal immunity. Even when people know these techniques exist, they still respond to them.